Hey guys, what's going on? It's Dan, and I am back with the MGU All-Star League. So this week is week 3. I'm going up against Snoot, who's the representative of the Oceania Premier League. I believe it might be Oceania Pokemon League. OPL. I can't remember the exact acronym off the top of my head. But Snoot went undefeated through the first 2 weeks, going 2-0-2-0 with an impressive fashion. He picked up 3 kills with a Togepi 1 week, so he's just an all-around impressive player, and in his background, he didn't lose a set in the OPL while becoming the champion. I think dropped 2 games in the regular season, so all-around impressive. You see his team on the left there. I'm bringing a bunch of weird stuff. The Mantine in particular is a little pet Pokemon of mine from my VBA Season 2 days, but the plan here is I'm just going to set Trick Room, get Glastrier out, put Moltres out to clean up anything fast in the back. Looking at his team, the Spectre doesn't look great in this matchup. Based on what I'm bringing, I wouldn't expect it to come. But with that Urshifu and the Cole, I basically always need to have Indeedee in the lead, and if he's able to get rid of it and set that up late game, I could have some issues. So I need to have a decent way to deal with it, which in this case is the Slowking and the Trick Room. So, as we're getting into the match here, we see it start, Stoutland, Bronzong. Okay, so my first thought is this Bronzong is an anti-TR Bronzong. What it's going to do is it's going to assume that I'm going to follow me Trick Room, this Stoutland's going to Snarl for free, and then it's also going to Trick Room this turn to reset it, just get off a free Snarl. Because that's my assumption for his Game 1 play, I figured I might as well let this man set Trick Room for me and just double Expanding Force and see what he wants to do about that. Because if he sets Trick Room for me and I launch 2 Expanding Forces, this is a very good position for me, obviously. Obviously, if he doesn't Trick Room and does something else with the Bronzong, I don't really think it's super threatening into this lead. Bronzong's not normally a high damage output Pokemon. I did think Weakness Policy Bronzong actually looked good this week, so Max Bronzong is something I'm potentially concerned about, but with this lead, I don't really expect him to just max the Bronzong and trigger a Weakness Policy. So we're just going to roll with it. So the Snarl comes out. I do reveal the Colbur Berry there, which I'm fine with. Just about what I expected. Then I think I'll just be able to launch 2 Expanding Forces here, and we'll see him set this Trick Room. Expanding Force 1 comes out. Even after Snarl, that's not a lot in the Stoutland, so it might be AV, but he uses Steel Roller. Okay, this is a cool set. Steel Roller Bronzong doesn't kill Indeedee, but it does make it suck to be Indeedee for a little bit, and I don't have Psychic Terrain anymore, so this Expanding Force is now weaker in single target. Still does a decent trunk to the Stoutland, but I see the Stoutland as Berry, so it's not AV, so it's just a very bulky Stoutland set, and I probably overestimated the Indeedee damage there. But here, I think I do follow me Trick Room because there's a good chance Indeedee dies this turn. If Trick Room goes off and I get Glastrier in unmolested, I'm not gonna feel bad about it at all. Like, I don't see what he does to stop Trick Room from going off, because Stoutland, I guess if he's got a way to kill the Slowking with the Bronzong, maybe, but Stoutland would have to kill the Indeedee. And it looks like I'm just getting Trick Room for free here. Except Rock Slide, now there's a 30% chance I don't get Trick Room, because flinches can happen, and that, of course, it does, so I don't get Trick Room. Here my instinct is to go into Moltres to try to threaten out the Bronzong and get up Trick Room, because I still think it might have an anti-Trick Room option on it. And this way, I'm threatening it to try and force it to switch out. It doesn't know. And also, maxing Moltres here wouldn't be the worst position in the world, because I could just max Darkness or the Bronzong, or better yet, max Airstream the Stoutland, because I probably kill it at this range. And then Moltres becomes the fastest thing on the field. But I still think the Glastrier late game is what I want to play for. So I'm going to Trick Room again and just launch a Fiery Wrath. I've got a lot of speed on this Moltres set, which for Trick Room games doesn't exactly make sense, but it does speed creep Adamant Urshifu. Double Fiery Wrath, decent damage. Snarl comes out. So a max Airstream may have killed the Stoutland there, but if it didn't, I would be in a very, very bad position. So kind of glad I did this. But now I really struggle, because he knows I need to switch this Moltres out, and the way I'm playing, I'm telegraphing Glastriers in the back. So he probably knows Glastrier is coming out, and because of that, he's probably going to yawn that slot again. But I don't have a better option except to just try and kill this Stoutland. If I can kill the Stoutland on this switch, then I'm fine. But if the Stoutland survives and gets off a second yawn, which is absolutely the play he's going to go for, then I need to switch again, and I'm just wasting too many turns of Trick Room to do anything at all effective this game. So Moltres comes back. The Glastrier comes on out. And he's maxing. Okay, so this is just a full offensive Bronzong with Steel Roller and Rock Slide. There are issues here, and I have most of them have to deal with me. Yeah, so this Bronzong is out, maxed, Stoutland eats that Scald, Bronzong max Quakes. I'm glad that wasn't a Steel Spike into the Glastrier. If it was, this would have been GG. But that covers me not switching, I guess, decently, because that would go off before the Glastrier's attack. And then Yawn comes out, and we're struggling. We are truly struggling, because Glastrier obviously has to switch. I have to attack into that Stoutland again, and I'm Scalding instead of Expanding Forcing, because if the Urshifu switches in, the Expanding Force isn't going to do too much, because I believe I'm at -2 at this point. It's not going to pick up the KO, and I'd rather have the burn chance on it instead of the kill, because 1, Sash Urshifu makes sense to me, and 2, at -2 I just don't think I kill. So we get off a Scald. Maybe I do kill, because it would do 4 times that damage, but no, that's not kill range. But I do get the burn. Okay. I get rewarded for that play. Steel Spike will kill the Moltres. It's just about to be expected. This Bronzong's at +1 in both defenses. I know Bronzong's very bulky, so that's a problem. And Horse time. Okay. So, it's time to see what Glastrier can do, because it's in a bad position, but could be worse. I mean, the Urshifu could have not been burned, it would have been worse, but this Bronzong's on its last turn of max at +1 defense. I probably don't kill it or the Urshifu this turn, in all honesty. In fact, my best chance to pick up the KO this turn is to have the Max Darkness go before to counteract that Max Quake advantage, and then maybe this Expanding Force can pick it up, but I don't like those odds. But here comes the Glastrier. Watching my character Max Glastrier always brings me back to the VBA Season 3 trailer, where this image paused right there and just said banned in all red letters. And I'm glad I get my little horse back again. Little being a weird choice of words. So the Urshifu does protect. Okay. So a double into Bronzong here would have technically been better, but that's a tough read to make. And the Slowking goes first anyway, so it probably wouldn't have mattered, because there's no way Slowking's killing that. But now we just get to see how good a Urshifu or a Glastrier is. Okay, Slowking goes down. Glastrier is operating in some sort of perverse 1v4, and I have to target correctly every turn. A little bit of sand damage. Sand and burn damage. So, target choices this turn. Not knowing what the fourth Pokemon is, Max Quake and Max Darkness would both hit and probably kill the Stoutland from its current range, even if I go to -1. So now I have to think, what do I think is going to be a bigger priority? And honestly, this Urshifu at while being burned isn't the most threatening thing on the field. I think this Bronzong potentially is with Iron Head. So I'm going to target into the Bronzong slot, but the Urshifu is what switches out to the Stoutland, so a hit there would have been okay, but Stoutland will go down to Sand eventually. Or Hail if I decide to set that myself. Darkness will KO this Bronzong. I'll go back up to neutral because Chilling Day. That crit didn't matter. I don't think. There's no way that crit mattered. And then I have to see what he chooses to send out next because I've just got a horse. I don't know if Sand kills that Stoutland next turn, but I'm willing to find out. I'd rather hit something into the Urshifu and let the Stoutland die to potential Sand next turn, and that feels like my out. I could read a Protect on Urshifu here and attacking the Stoutland, but I think there's a chance the Stoutland goes down. And this is a critical misplay on my part, because I know the Stoutland has Yawn, and I know he can set up a late game to hit Glastrier at least once or twice with something, and I have to assume that anything that he has in the back can probably two-shot non-max Glastrier. But I want to make a read and put this into a 1v1 situation, but he does protect the Urshifu. So now I am in a bad position because the Stoutland uses Yawn. The Stoutland moves before me anyway because Trick Room's over, so it wouldn't have really mattered who I targeted. But I would have liked to have one more turn to attack something before I fall asleep. But Urshifu takes some sand, Stoutland takes some sand, and Stoutland faints. Another downside of that is that I don't get my +1 because Sand killed it and not me, but it doesn't matter. I should be killing everything here. Now here I have one turn to attack, and I know I'm at +2 special defense, so here's my thought process. If this coal doesn't get triggered and it's a special coal, I can probably eat to attack, so if I get a one-turn wake-up, I'm fine. If he does trigger the coal, I can probably eat at least one special attack, maybe? I mean, +6, maybe not. But he could also miss because Heat Wave misses. So I think killing the Urshifu is the better play here. Because if I leave this Urshifu alive, even burned, I'm not going to eat two close combats. And Cold protects, so this was the correct play on my part. And the Aqua Jet goes through Protect into Coal, so the Coal does get triggered. Okay, so my out here is Coal missing once, a one-turn sleep, and me surviving something. That's a +2 Coal, not a +6 Coal. It's +6 speed. I'm never outspeeding it, but I think I could survive a +2 Coal because I've got +2 special defense. I can survive something, and then he could miss once, I get a one-turn wake-up, and I win. So I don't feel like this is a 0% game for me at this point. Obviously, step one is hopefully dodging something this turn. This turn would be a great turn to dodge something, but Heat Wave isn't 100% accurate, but it is a physical Coal he reveals with the Flare Blitz. So that is very important to know, but that's going to kill the Glastrier at +2 because I don't have any physical boosts. So yeah, Snoot's going to take game one. I've got a couple of plans up my sleeve, but I will swing right back around for game number 2. So moving into game 2, I've got a couple of main thoughts. The first is that I don't want to lead Trick Room. Because that lead is just... his lead is very good into my Trick Room lead. The second is that I think he just tries to win the set with Urshifu Cole this game. So I can't really lead Indeedee Moltres, which is what I really want to lead. Because Indeedee Moltres looks really good into everything that isn't Urshifu Cole. But if it's Urshifu Cole, then Indeedee Moltres, assuming that the Urshifu is Focus Sash, Urshifu just kills the Indeedee. Moltres takes it to Sash because I have to follow me. I can't just risk that not happening. And then he gets his ability triggered off. So I need to have something that can threaten the Cole. So I'm thinking I might have to lead Trick Room, but then I'm like, you know what? Let's do Mantine stuff this game. I love Mantine. So we're gonna go Mantine mode this game, which is just the plan here is to show off why Mantine is tier 2 low. Speaking of tier 2 low, on my team, Mantine and Slurpuff are absolutely tier 2 low, and Golurk might be. But the other two I am convinced are, so I'm very happy about my low tiers in this league. But here's my Mantine game. We're gonna see if this just costs me a set because I'm overdoing it with Mantine. But he does lead Urshifu Cole. And Mantine Indeedee seems really good into this. So, first thought. This Cole maxes and max guards 100% of the time here, because if Urshifu takes out Indeedee, I've got some issues. So, I want to follow me because I'm not letting him just Aqua Jet. And as much as I want to max guys with the Cole, I really want to call the max guard here. So I'm just going to instead think about it for a really long time and then decide to max Airstream the Urshifu, force him to have the Sash, which I know this is the exact same thing I was talking about my Moltres not wanting, but the difference is he might switch out the Cole. Like, there's more there's more things that could go right for me here. Like, yeah, if he just Surging Strikes into the Indeedee, I've got some issues. But I 100% have to follow me and then just live with the consequences. So I'm maxing first. Makes sense, Mantine should be faster than unboosted Cole. Wide Mantine comes on out. It yells. And Cole is maxing, so I'm like, okay, yeah, this is good. Here comes the max guard. I'm reading him like a book. This could go very poorly for me if he's also reading me like a book, though. Big Cole yells. And Follow Me comes on out. So let's see what the Urshifu's doing. This is test 1. If he Surging Strikes, it could be bad for me, because he didn't guard. But no, he Aqua Jetted, it just goes into Protect, or goes into the Psychic Terrain, and he will go down to his Sash here. That crit didn't matter, that was going down to Sash anyway with Life Orb Mantine. So yeah, I could have just killed the Cole right there. Cole could be dead. But instead he gets a Vocalith off. But that's not going to do enough into Indeedee because Sash issues. So here, this next turn, I'm in a much better position. Again, I think Max Guard is the obvious play, and if he Max Guards and kills the Indeedee, he can just trigger the Cole next turn, and then Max kill the Mantine. So again, don't really want that in my life. So I have to Follow Me again to just stop the Cole from getting triggered. And here, I really want to max Geyser the Coal, but again, if he max guards it, I just lose this game. So actually, I think I just need to max Geyser the Urshifu for 1 HP to set myself up with a position where this Coal can't get triggered, and then I can absolutely kill it, which means I have to let this Coal hit one more time, which, it's a physical Coal, so it can chunk this Mantine if he targets it, but he'd have to kill the Indeedee first. I really don't like that play, but it was the correct play with what I had to make, and now I am absolutely rewarded as long as I don't kill this Stoutland. Because I get a chunk of damage on Stoutland. I said this during the VBA, but anytime Mantine hits the field, it's going to take about 60% of my opponent's health, cumulatively among all their Pokemon. And I'm at probably about 40% right now. So Mantine just does insane damage every time it hits the field because no one knows what it does, and it's great. Stoutland heals up a bit, and I'm expecting a Vocalith, which is really going to hurt, but he goes for a Max Quake. I don't know if he thinks he's going to survive a Max Geyser, but he is absolutely not going to survive a Max Geyser in the rain. And now Mantine's the fastest thing on the field because Swift Swim, and I'm at +1 speed, so I'm very okay with this. This turn I absolutely am Geysering into the Coal. Like, even if he does Max Guard, because I can just threaten other things, and it's great. Raichu makes a little bit of sense, but Moltres, I think, probably makes more sense because I can threaten to kill the, what's its name? Stoutland. Like, Raichu, there's a world where I'm like, I could just charm this Coal and then kill the Stoutland, and we could just ignore the Coal the entire game. But I'm like, damn, it's the stupidest plan I've ever come up with. So we're going to set up the Moltres. I don't know if I kill the Stoutland at +1 defense, even if it is a single target Fiery Wrath. But I think there's absolutely a chance that I do. And then I am just Max Geysering the Coal. This thing's not launching another Max attack because I don't want to eat a Max Rock into something else because I tried being cute again. Yep, it dies. It hella dies. Wide Mantine kills another thing. And, yeah, there's like 70% of his team's HP. Eaten up in 3 turns of Mantine Max. Mantine takes a little bit of damage. Fiery Wrath comes out single target, +1 special defense. Yeah, Stoutland is super bulky. And it yawns the Mantine, but my max is over, so I'm okay with that. This does set up interesting late game scenarios, though. I can get off one more really good attack with this Mantine, or I can set up a situation with Raichu on the field. I kind of almost want to let Mantine fall asleep, because then Raichu comes out and I can fake out because Psychic Terrain will expire. So my first thought is I just Fiery Wrath and Scald into this Bronzong, and I just chunk as much damage as I can while Mantine's not asleep. My second instinct, though, is, I believe here, to check the turns, see that there's 2 turns of Psychic Terrain, not 1 turn of Psychic Terrain left, and realize how much rain there is left, and decide Mantine coming out after something faints in the rain in about 2 or 3 turns sounds even better, so I'm just going to put in this Raichu and not do anything incredibly stupid. So Mantine comes back, Raichu goes on out. Stoutland uses Helping Hand. Okay, this is very good for me to know. Fiery Wrath damage. I don't quite pick up that Stoutland, which isn't necessarily the worst thing for me. And here Steel Roller comes into Moltres. So Moltres goes down with Helping Hand, Steel Roller, but now there's no Psychic Terrain and I have Fake Out pressure. So here's what I'm thinking with this fake out pressure, right? Helping Hand has higher priority than fake out. So it's not like I can stop the Stoutland from doing anything. In fact, the only thing I can really stop is this Bronzong from doing anything. A Scald in the Rain and Bronzong sounds really good, as does Fake Out in the Stoutland initially. But I don't want to eat a Helping Hand Rock Slide into this Mantine. So instead the play I'm going to do is Scald into the Stoutland slot, because I know that it and the Urshifu both have effectively 1 HP and definitely die to Scald. I'm going to Fake Out the Bronzong to reduce the amount of damage that it deals. Helping Hand comes on out, because Helping Hand is just the obvious play there, because otherwise Fake Out just completely takes out Stoutland this turn. So Bronzong does nothing. Scald comes on out into the Stoutland, it'll take it down. Now we're in another interesting situation with the Urshifu coming on out. So, with Urshifu coming out, I know even if it's adamant, this Raichu lives in Aqua Jet, and Raichu's going to be faster than it, so I can just Volt Switch to kill it, take its last HP. So yeah, that's just what I have to do, because I expect an Aqua Jet, otherwise it just dies to a Volt Switch without doing anything, and then I can Scald this Bronzong. And then Mantine, I think, depending on how the Bronzong is, should live 1 Rock Slide off of it, and then KO with Scald next turn, even though Rain is ending. So I get a good chunk there. It's very borderline, but I think I'm in a good position here, because this will be a split damage Rock Slide. Mantine should always survive this, especially when it avoids an attack. Raichu goes down though, and now Rain ends, and we are in a very, very close situation right here. Because now this Rock Slide definitely kills because it goes to single target. I don't know if Mantine kills or not, but it's the only play. So we're just going to go for it, because that looks right on the borderline of it killing or not. I launch a Scald, and Bronzong goes down. So really close game 2, and we are just getting started in the set, and I will be right on back for game number 3. Okay, moving into game 3. I don't think Mantine's going to be the lead again, because he's going to lead something that beats Mantine, and it's probably going to be Rotom. And Rotom lead means one thing. It's horse time. We're just going to see exactly how strong Glastrier is. No speed control. Just going to sort of lay it out there and dare him to deal with it. Is it a great plan? It might be, actually. But it's the plan we're rolling with. We're just going to dare him to beat the Glastrier. Also, I apologize for any background noise. There's a helicopter flying over my apartment right now. I can understand how that could be frustrating to some. So yeah, what I just said is basically the thought process that was going through my head, but it took me a while to lock into it. I almost lead Moltres here, but I just want to go with the Glastrier. Now, what do I want behind it? No idea. Moltres is one of them. But Slowking set a late game Trick Room probably sounds right. Which means no Mantine this game, but expecting the Rotom lead, I am A-okay with this situation. I like the artful style of his trainer card. Normally I'm one for like the big flashy stuff like what I'm having, but that's the kind of understated calmness that shows someone who's really considered about their trainer card. Okay, Rotom is the lead. Bronzong's also here. he probably is just going to Steel Roller into the, well, I'm going to follow me, so he's going to Steel Roller into the Indeedee, because I absolutely do not need to be eating a Will-O-Wisp on the Glastrier if I'm just going to straight max it right here. Which is, don't get me wrong, that is still the plan. Like, big slow Glastrier in the face and have him kill it. That is still absolutely the plan. I'm a little nervous about a Stoutland switch potentially. I think the Hailstorm covers the most potential switches for at least neutral damage. That Rotom could also stand in this kills, and I think Hail Up, just breaking sashes, is going to be generally good for me for that Urshifu. Indeedee follow me's. I am a-okay if this Rotom decides to stay in, but it Volt Switches out. Okay, so it knows I'm maxed. If he assumes I'm targeting into it, then he's probably going to send out whatever can take Hailstorm the best, which is probably the Urshifu, which isn't going to be great for me, but I could be in a much worse position here. And then Steel Roller comes on out, that'll take out the Indeedee from there most likely. But I have Slowking in the back, and this can't stop Trick Room from going up. So I can get, like, Trick Room while my Glastrier is maxed. And, you know, I just feel pretty special about that. Urshifu takes a little bit of hail damage. Bronzong takes a little bit of hail damage. And, yeah, I'm just going to set Trick Room. Because I've got a max voice already. What's he going to do about it? So, I consider just playing the slow game and clicking Expanding Force into the Urshifu and Darkness into the Bronzong, but I'm just going to Trick Room, Darkness the Bronzong, and just take my speed advantage with these two. Speaking of which, these two are speed tied, and I don't like that, but he had Reuniclus in Team Preview, or not in Team Preview, on his 11, which also has base 30, and I didn't want Reuniclus to underspeed either of them 100% of the time under Trick Room, so I settled for the speed time myself, which is not normally something that I like to do. But yeah, we're going to see what he does to try and stop this, because he is not killing this Slowking with Urshifu and Bronzong unless he's really hit an attack on one of them that I do not foresee. But Bronzong maxes. Coaching. Okay, that's cool. Still don't think he's killing it, but I'm not two-shotting this Bronzong. I'm going to have to double into it probably. So, Slowking takes a bit of damage, his special defense goes up. I'm going to re-neutralize the special defense with the Max Darkness. And, yeah, I'm not doubling that. I'm not two-shotting that. So, since I'm not two-shotting that, I've got a few other decisions to make here. Expanding Force just into the Urshifu absolutely kills it and chunks anything that switches into that spot. But I kind of want to double on this Bronzong, and I don't think Expanding Force plus Darkness kills. I think Scald plus Darkness does kill, though. I've got 4 turns of Trick Room left, which is insane, given my current position. But I think that's going to be the play. So my safest play is to make sure this Bronzong doesn't attack again, so I'm going to double into it. This Urshifu could also protect. Like, Urshifu protecting here is a very, very sensible play on his end. So we're just going to take this double up to make sure the Bronzong goes down. So no protect. Max Darkness comes on out, and I will be honest, this crit did matter, but I'm using Scald and not Expanding Force, so I'm not going to punish it as much as I could. Like, if I Expanding Forced and killed this Urshifu, and he just got max punished for it, that'd be entirely different. But my Chilling Neigh goes off. Scald comes on out, and he survives because Expanding Force stuff. But Slowking going down, not the best thing in the world. However, now I'm in a late game situation where he dies to one more bit of hail damage, and this Moltres can come on out. And Glastrier, even though my max is over, still has turns to work with Trick Room, so this feels good. I mean, Cole's annoying, don't get me wrong, Cole is very annoying here. And speed creeping Adamant Urshifu is annoying because I'm under Trick Room now. But my thought process here is I have to Fiery Wrath, and then I could high horsepower into the Cole. But the other option I have here is to protect against a Cole attack into Moltres. But no, that doesn't make sense. No, I have to Fiery Wrath here, and then just hope that he's timid, or he's jolly, which I think he is based on the damage he did to Raichu last game, but I'm not 100% sure of it at this point. Cole protects, that makes sense. I had to play as if it wouldn't protect, though, because he could just Aqua Jet into the Cole. That doesn't make sense. I guess he wanted to get some chip and thought that I'm absolutely going to be underspeeding him with Moltres. So maybe that makes sense, but I think if you're in this position, you need to play for a better out than that. It makes sense in light of what he does next turn, but to me in the moment I'm like, that really doesn't make sense. So, next turn comes on out, and the Cole protected, so I'm like, the Cole can't protect this time. I have no idea what this Rotom set is, but it's his last thing. I know it's got Volt Switch on it. I assume Will-O-Wisp, because that looks decent into my team. It's definitely got an electric type move. And then its last move could be a variety of things. I have no reason to assume it's Ally Switch, but I do think that it could be, and that this could ruin my day if it's Ally Switch. But my play here seems pretty straightforward: to protect, to not eat a Thunderbolt into the Moltres, make the Moltres faster than the Rotom once Trick Room's over, and win a potential 2v1 because Rotom can't beat Glastrier. This protects me from most potential negative outcomes, which is what I think I need in this situation. The only move that really punishes this is Ally Switch. So, or him getting a double protect on Cole. There's the Ally Switch. I get max punished. High horsepower doesn't affect Rotom. Cole gets a Flare Blitz off into Glastrier, but Glastrier is a tank and a half. Cole takes some recoil. But now I have to make a decision. This is my last turn of Trick Room, I believe. I think I win a 2v1 with Moltres. I know I win the 1v1 against Cole with Moltres. So, targeting down the Rotom is important, but I have to decide if I think he's going to Ally Switch or not. But if he does Ally Switch, Icicle Crash could kill the Cole from this range because I am at +1. And Icicle Crash plus Fiery Wrath should kill the Cole from this range. Which means that I'm in a 1v1 against the Rotom late game, which isn't the best situation in the world, but it is a Rotom that's already taken one hit, I'll be outspeeding it, so I'll only need to survive one hit from it because I can probably two-shot it with the attack. I dodged that Rock Slide. That doesn't matter because if the Rock Slide hits, it triggers my weakness policy. And if weakness policy is triggered, Cole just... it actually probably triggers Berserk and weakness policy, I should say, if it's strong enough to two-shot me, and then Cole goes down there. But if it doesn't two-shot me, it just triggers weakness policy. Cole maybe survives there, and in that case, he's only two-shotting me, and then he's playing for only a crit. So that miss makes it so a crit isn't an out, but it didn't affect the final outcome of this game, which is just Moltres winning this 1v1. Yeah, good games to Snoot. Super, super fun set. I think all three games ended 1-0 in one direction or another, but I'm having some fun this league, and I will be back here next week with another video, hopefully. Bye.